It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Bye-bye, Bediako. Cole, the short-lived American nightmare of not knowing if NBA players were going to be allowed to come back and play college basketball again. Well, it seems to have finally gotten a ruling on the correct side. Welcome into the show, Tolos who are watching on the stream. JB already in. Want to see more of you Tolos checking in as well on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. Just search for The Fan Upstate and jump into the conversation, Cole. But the news broke late yesterday. I think it was in the last hour of the show. Maybe our Tolos hadn't seen this, right? That's when they do it. They can't get it out early and let all the shows talk about it all day.
Yep.
The judge in Alabama who was hearing Charles Bediako's appeal on whether or not he should be essentially deemed eligible or his injunction hearing, he was denied. He was denied his injunction, and Charles Bediako's college basketball career is done yet again.
Oh, no, I'm so upset. I'm so devastated for Charles Bediako. I don't know how I'm going to continue to be a fan of college athletics, Diesel. I'm heartbroken. This guy deserves to be playing college basketball, right?
Isn't it amazing how a friendly judge who had ties to giving money to Alabama somehow ruled in favor of letting this guy who had played G League basketball for 3 years come back and play again? Well, Cole, that is officially done, thankfully. And like I'm seeing so many people saying it's unfair. He should have been allowed to come back and keep playing. Why? He was a 3-year professional.
It's 2 weeks in a row now. And I can't believe we're actually having this conversation, Diesel. But remember, last week we talked about Trinidad.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks in a row, and I think we've got to emphasize this because it's good for people like me who have been down in the dumps on college athletics. It's a great day. It's a great day. We have 2 wins in a row, 2 weeks in a row, where we feel like, and I'm sure somebody out there will disagree with you and I on this, and that's fine. We want to hear from you, 844-326-3663. It's a great win for college athletics. 2 weeks in a row, we'll take it. The ruling under the current rules, Diesel, is what was enforced the way it should have been enforced the entire time.
Well, the problem that we're going to face until there's some form of federal legislation on this, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be coming down in anytime soon. We're going to be dealing with this on a state-by-state basis. Yeah. Now, there are some other cases that are kind of maybe a little bit like this Charles Bediako case, even though this one is of course, unique. You have Amari Bailey, who was a former UCLA guard drafted in 2023, actually played in 10 games for the Charlotte Hornets, not a G League team, for the Charlotte Hornets, played in 10 games for an NBA team. He was allowed to make his way back into college basketball. James Njai, who was drafted in 2023. It was funny. Bediako was drafted in 2023 also. There's something in the water in that year. The NCAA cleared him to come back and play at Baylor. He's a freshman who never signed an NBA contract, but did play professionally overseas. He was allowed to come back. Now, that case, I could maybe kind of sort of see a case for James, but for Amari Bailey and for Charles Bediako, sorry, guys, go get a job or play NBA Europe. You can make money playing professional basketball overseas. We all know what this was about, Cole. This was about money. And the highest payout that Charles was going to be able to get was right now in college basketball. If he was going to be deemed eligible, he would have NIL money coming his way, and it's way more money that he was going to make in the G League. Trust me, this guy did not come back to get additional training, additional development as a basketball player so that he could eventually make his way back to the NBA.
Well, he fought for it, right? And if he wants to fight, I guess I would tell him he needs to go play for the Charlotte Hornets, right? If he wants to fight, that's what they did. In case you didn't see that brawl, we'll talk about that later. That was phenomenal, though, by the way. I don't know if you saw the video.
Yeah,
like maybe the best basketball fight of the decade, maybe?
Yeah,
I mean, it's so incredible fight last night. I'd say, like hockey, let them fight. But I think it's a good thing because college sports are built on this idea, right? That they're a stepping stone in a way, Diesel, before professional basketball. And going back to what you said, yes, it is all about money, but we've got to get past this point where college basketballs, college athletics are not a fallback option, right? Like that is where we've got to get past. And I think you look at Trinidad Chambliss, what happened with him, and I know it's a completely different situation. And you look at this situation with Charles Bediako, college athletics have to get in place, in line, and let every athlete know, Diesel, that it's not a fallback option anymore. I know money is the reason it seems like for a lot of these athletes it is a fallback option, but guess what? We weren't having these conversations. It was never a fallback option, a fallback option until money was brought into the equation. Like we were never having these conversations 5 years, 10 years ago.
It was right. The option was go play NBA in Europe, and maybe you'll increase your skills and make your way over to the NBA here in America. JB on the stream says Bama should have to forfeit the 3 games that he played for them. The 3 games they won while playing for Alabama. Well, JB, I know that feels like the right thing to do, but it was in the terms of his of all the deal that he did. I saw it somewhere. It said that basically the terms of the temporary restraining order were as such that if it was overturned, they could not come back at Alabama. He was deemed legal to play. Yeah. It was legal for him to play, even though it was only temporary. They cannot go back and retroactively punish Alabama for playing him.
Is that right? I'm just thinking it's a good point by JB, not to get off on a tangent here.
It feels right.
Yeah.
It feels right. I completely understand it. That would certainly be a real deterrent to other schools from trying this, right? Yeah. I mean, if school in Florida or a school in Texas or a school in California wanted to try the same thing and they thought to themselves, oh, wait, we might bring this guy onto our roster on a temporary restraining order, but then we might have to give back some of those wins. That's not worth the risk. We don't want to do that. Well, you can't punish them retroactively for something that was legal. Essentially, it was legal at the time when they did it, so you can't go back and punish them for it.
I'm with you on that. It's not, in my opinion, it's not Nate Oates' fault, right? So, I understand what people and JB are saying about the 3 games they won because, look, they did have – if you look back on it now to play devil's advocate, they did have a bending of the rules. And I know to your point, you said it, they were legal, and I get that, but it's not allowed now. So it's so crazy that we're literally just rowing and sailing through these waters as we go because there is no structure. And for the comments I've seen out there where it's Bediako's being punished, I've seen that on social media. Bediako's not being punished in any way, shape, or form. The NCAA Diesel had to draw a line. If there's not a line drawn, there's never going to be repercussions. There's never going to be future opportunities to have this conversation. And you know what you have to do when you let all of the worms out of the can? You have to draw lines. When you walk into a room and it's really, really messy, guess what? It sucks to clean that room up, but you've got to clean it up. And that's where we are. That's exactly where we are with the NCAA right now.
The NCAA's got to be able to step in and say, hey, look, yes, we realize that there are still some things that need to be cleaned up, that there are still some states that are allowing situations like this to go on, but we're trying to fix this, and we're really trying to do it to protect the guys coming out of high school that want to have these opportunities. Remember, roster spots are limited. There's only a certain number that you can have.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me that you get guys that go off to the G League, and you may know this more off the top of your head, how much money guys are making in the G League. It's not much, right? To say, hey, you can come on back and make more money in college. You're taking that. This is not a zero-sum game. You're taking away opportunities from high school kids who that's their dream to go play college basketball. So you got to find a way to protect them and the sanctity of the game at the same time. I think this is a move in the right direction. Well, what this also means, Cole, is that if and when the NCAA can get enough states on their side, so to speak, to get control of this thing again, they got to make sure that their rules, once they get those set in place, are airtight legally, essentially uncontestable in court. But it also means that the NCAA needs to find ways to be flexible in the future. Otherwise, eventually somebody will find a way to sue this and beat this, and we'll be back in this same situation all over again.
Well, what worries me is a state-by-state governance, right? And you mentioned a minute ago, I don't know when and if and ever we'll get it controlled by a more national level from Congress. But if this is what we have to deal with now, imagine if some states differ, like not just a little bit, but completely differ than other states. So now,
Sure.
I mean, that's what scares me, and I remember a couple of weeks ago when we had the conversation, at this point, I'm for Congress stepping in because it feels like the only solution, but what scares the heck out of me, scares the crap out of me rather, when it comes to a state by state basis is, okay, well, you talk about competitive balance. This decision here was, this line was drawn in the sand by the NCAA to keep competitive fairness. And when a 22 or a 24-year-old has trained as a full-time professional and then comes back, well, what if this state allows it and this state don't? That's what worries me. Competitive balance matters more than individual hardship, Diesel.
And I'm surprised we haven't heard yet from the NBA on this, because if they had allowed this to continue and let it snowball and become more and more and more of an issue, all of a sudden that disrupts the NBA's pipeline for talent, right? Now, all of a sudden you got guys going the professional route, whether they're duped into it, and maybe that's how Charles Bediako feels. He was duped into leaving Alabama early and going off to play in the G League. Regardless, that disrupts the flow of talent, which is high school goes into college goes into the NBA. And if you're not good enough to be in the NBA, again, there are options for you to go play in Europe or in the G League, options that, the G League specifically didn't exist 10 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, that is the next option for guys that are not quite good enough to make their way. Maybe these guys, they need the money. They need to get out into the G League. They need to make money for their families right away. But, the NBA, I'm surprised we haven't heard from them adjusting their rules to make sure they keep getting the talent that they need.
Well, you know what the NBA would say? Well, it's not our problem, not our issue. Your problem, your issue, right? So Alabama's 16-7 overall, Diesel. They're 6-4 in the SEC. From what I'm seeing, he appeared in 5 games, right? Bediako did. They went 3-2. They played, the first win was Mizzou. Is that right? Let me look here. What I'm getting at is, I believe I want to see what kind of difference he made, because, like, going back to JB's point, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. It's not Alabama's fault. It's not Nate Oates' fault, because, like you said, it is legal, but I'd be upset if I'm Missouri. Go back and look. Right now, January 27th, they beat Missouri 90-64. Now, I know one player is not going to make that big of a difference in a 90-64 win, right?
Bediako didn't score 27 points in that game.
I'm looking now to see how many he scored. He had 14. So a good night, right? He wasn't the leading scorer. He was top 4. Charles Bediako was. So a good night. And then they beat the crap out of Missouri. They beat A&M. I think that was also during that 5-game stretch. And A&M, they're a team that's kind of been up and down a little bit this year. How is A&M supposed to feel about it? I don't think it's right. Hey, look here. It was a 3-point game against A&M.
Maybe the answer is effectively expunge that loss off of Missouri and A&M's schedules, but don't take the wins away from Alabama.
Yeah.
Right? Essentially, everybody wins in that situation. It would look like on paper like Missouri played one less game than everybody else. We would all know what actually happened in that game, but still, it wouldn't affect them on their win-loss total. Now, who gets hurt by this, Cole? It's basically the lawyers who profit off of representing these players, litigating their lawsuits. I follow Darren Heitner. He is the founder of Heitner Legal. He teaches NIL law at Miami Law School, 61,000 Twitter followers. He posted deeply disappointed in the Tuscaloosa court's denial of Charles Bediako's request for an injunction against the NCAA. This ruling ignores that an athlete's NIL value is directly tied to his ability to play, overlooks that NCAA rules do not distinguish between athletes with prior college experience and those without, and contrasts with eligibility grants to many other former pros. We fight on for fairness.
Now, who's this guy?
Darren Heitner teaches NIL law at the at Miami.
Gotcha. I'm looking at him now on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to lose out on some cash by not being able to litigate these cases, but
so he's upset because it's hurting his wallet.
Yeah, fair. Like who are we talking about fairness on behalf of, right? I mean, Charles played professional basketball. He was getting paid to play professional basketball.
They declared for the draft.
The only thing that he's getting hurt by is the amount of money he's able to make. And hey, if you are an NBA G League team or an NBA franchise, are you going to take a chance on Charles Bediako again after he left a G League team to go back to college?
Well, what it goes back to for me is a conversation we've had many, many times. Who are these college players, not just basketball players, being guided by and mentored by? Because guess what? Welcome to adulthood, right? Like when he declared for the draft, he knew the risk, Diesel. He knew the consequences of what it was when you declare for the draft. And, he flushed his degree basically, right? For a little bit of freedom and being coached up to be a better player. And look, if you feel like that makes you a better player and that's in your best interest, that's fine. But who's guiding these players? Who's telling these players what direction to go? Because now, I would love to know what the next 3 years look like for Charles Bediako. He scored 5 in that game against A&M where they won by 3. So,
you would think a G Leaguer with NBA coaching and all day, every day to train, you would have thought he would have come back into the college game and dominated.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He didn't.
And that's the thing. What is he going to be now? What's he going to be? He's not making the NBA probably, right? Unless he really improves drastically over the next few years.
Go be a barista. I don't know, man. You can't play basketball anymore.
Yeah, and that guy that you're talking about, the NIL
lawyer.
My whole problem with that is these students aren't being forced to do anything. This whole narrative, you've heard this, I've heard this, we've all heard this about, how, these athletes, man, they just don't have any kind of decision-making ability. They're being forced this, forced that. They have the entire sport in their hands, and they're not being forced to declare. They're not being forced to do this, forced to do that. They know what the consequences are. So I'm just kind of past that bridge. It's adulthood. You make decisions. You live with the consequences. And I know this might sound mean. I don't feel sorry for the kid. I don't feel one bit sorry for him.
Who amongst us, Cole, did not receive a harsh life lesson around the age of 18, 19, 20, 21 years old? Yeah. Whatever that life lesson may be, we all got them.
Yeah.
We all get them. And
I got many of them.
This is proof to Charles that your decisions and your actions have consequences. Consequences can be good. Consequences can be bad. But you cannot go through life thinking, oh, I could just hit the undo button, swipe it all away, go back and have whatever I want. That's not life.
And you know what? The funniest part is not funny, but kind of nasty, filthy part, Diesel, of this conversation is that these guys you're referring to, what was his first name? The guy that you talked about.
Lawyer?
Darren. The guys like that, they're filthy. That's what they are. They're filthy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the sad part of these conversations is that they're trying to make out like himself and Charles, they're victims here, because that's what we do. We make ourselves to be victims in this world we live in. And that's filthy. That's the worst part of this sport right now, because, we've talked about it before. These agents and lawyers, what's their intent? What are their intentions behind their decisions?
Yeah.
It is 99.9% focused on how they can benefit from it. That's what's sad about it.
There's what's legal and there's what's fair. And what's legal was apparently a loophole in the rules that led Charles Bediako come back. Now, certainly it helped that you had an Alabama booster that agreed with him in his case and let him back in. What's fair is keeping him out of the game. Yeah. So to conflate for this law professor, and that's what's scary, Cole. This guy's a law professor at Miami. This guy is his job is to teach other lawyers how to be lawyers. And it's just skeezy, right? It's how can we beat the system? It's not about fairness. It's about beating the system.
Yeah, it's sad. It is the world we live in. It's only about what benefits and profits us, right? And again, we've talked about it with coaches and players. There are a few people who actually care about the longevity of the sport and the sport being healthy. That's where we are. Diesel, did you know there is only one team now in college basketball that is undefeated? Mm-hmm. I watched Arizona, Kansas last night. I think the best game I've watched this year, where I was my ADHD wasn't all over the place. I watched it was a great game. Arizona goes down. Miami of Ohio. Did you have that on your bingo card, by the way?
Did not.
Remains to be the only unbeaten team in college basketball. Plus, we look at the top 25 from yesterday. We didn't have a chance to get to it yesterday. And what tomorrow looks like for the Clemson Tigers. Next. Well, you call it luck. I might call it good scheduling, Diesel, with Arizona scheduling that game against Kansas on a Tuesday night, not a Wednesday night or a Monday night, specifically a Monday night, because, hey, you know what? You can't drop in the rankings if you play on the same day as the rankings after they're dropped, right?
Brilliant.
Arizona, as of right now, still the number one team in the country, even though they lost last night. How about that? Arizona goes down. You and I asked the question a couple of days ago. Remember, who would last longer undefeated? Would it be Arizona or would it be Miami of Ohio? And it was a very easy answer because of how brutal Arizona's schedule the next stretch was for the Wildcats. Yeah. And what a game last night. Kansas, a really good team, but Diesel, I mean, going undefeated in college basketball is impossible. And going 23-0 before they lost last night is remarkable in what they did.
Well, they were able to do it through, I wouldn't call it the weakest part of their schedule. They did play a tough stretch to start. They played a top 25 UCLA, UConn, Auburn, and Alabama there towards the first part of the season. Then they had a long lull, Cole, where they were beating everybody like rented mules. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
Up until recently, they played BYU again on the road, won that game by 3. That now they're in their gauntlet, right? And their schedule sets up in a similar way to Clemson's schedule. They've got number 16 Texas Tech coming up next on Saturday. BYU, Houston, Kansas, and Iowa State still ranked opponents coming down the stretch. And by the way, they still they play a decent Baylor team that's 13-10, and they'll play an okay Colorado team to end the season as well.
Arizona, Kansas last night. Tolos, did you watch? What did you watch last night? Was it Arizona, Kansas? Was it the Olympics? Was it, I don't know, Landman? Whatever you're watching at home.
I watched Animal Control.
Animal Control?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've watched
Hulu
Animal
show. It's okay. It's a cheeky network comedy.
I don't think I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know that I've seen it.
It's not the best show in the world. It's just 20 minutes, 20-minute episodes. They move quick.
Okay, I like that. That would help somebody like me. How far will Arizona drops the question? Again, as of right now, they're still number one until next week's rankings come out. Going into the rankings, they were 23-0. Diesel, what was so impressive? Arizona had scored 50 or more points in the paint in 10 games this season, which is tied for third most in Division I over the past 20 seasons, dominating bigs. And that last, if I said Tuesday, that was a Monday game. I apologize a minute ago. Today's Tuesday, right? Today is Tuesday. The rankings came out yesterday, and the game was on Monday night. Michigan's right behind them at 2. Michigan's 22-1. Houston, really good. They've climbed right back up in the rankings. At one time, they were 8. Now they're 3 again. Duke, Diesel, stayed at 4. Despite the loss to North Carolina, right? They're still at 4, number 4 in the country. How far do you think Arizona will now fall with a loss to Kansas on Monday?
I'd say no lower than 3. I mean, they lost to a really good team, right?
Yeah, number 9 Kansas, by the way.
Number 9 Kansas. Duke lost on the road on a last-second buzzer beater 3 to North Carolina. That's why they didn't fall. And North Carolina, pretty good team again this year. So I don't see them falling much farther than 3.
Kansas, I'm sorry, by the way, Kansas Diesel on an 8-game winning streak. So Kansas is hot right now. That was the first win over a number 1 team in Allen Fieldhouse in school history. It was a huge win last night. It was a great game.
Wow.
Darren Peterson was out, obviously, for Kansas. He had flu-like symptoms. It was a really, really good game. And I will be intrigued to see how far they fall. I agree with you. I don't think they'll drop much in the rankings. For those that want to know that we didn't, I don't think we had time to mention this yesterday. Clemson, number 20 in the country as of yesterday. Again, they play tomorrow against Virginia Tech. Clemson has won 14 straight road conference games. Look, we've mentioned this, but I think this deserves like so much praise and credit, which that streak, by the way, ties Diesel the 1962 to 1964 Duke stretch for the second longest streak in ACC history. Only the 1998 Duke team had more with 24 straight. 14 straight road conference wins. This is what's crazy about it. We talked about this yesterday with Grayson. Man, Clemson's a good team. We watched them Saturday, against Cal, right? They dominated Cal. They're a really good team. They're weird. They're weird to watch, though. They're not sexy. They're not flashy. They don't play this like amazing brand of basketball offensively that blows your socks off. But yet you look at the stat, Diesel, how hard it is to win 14 straight road games in the ACC.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And they're doing it with a frustrating, suffocating style of defense. They get back so well. And we're going to talk coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour, 4:20 to be exact, Rocco Miller of Bracketeer.org. We've talked with him before in the past. They do so well at getting back on defense. You cannot fast break on this Clemson team.
They're good.
You just can't do it.
They're good defensively. Now, Clemson has Virginia Tech tomorrow. Virginia Tech, Clemson's a better basketball team than Virginia Tech. Look, Mike Young's done a good job. I like Mike Young a lot, obviously, because of his local ties from him being here in Spartanburg at Wofford for so long. But, again, you can lose any given night in the ACC, Diesel. It's not about that. But tomorrow, Clemson's back home. You remember, though, I think it was Grayson Mann, or maybe it was Rocco that said, it's not like playing out in California that gets you. It's when you get back, right? It's the game when you get back. So I think it'll be interesting. They've been back for a few days now, right? They played on Saturday. They've been back for a few days before they play tomorrow at Little John, 7 o'clock tip.
Well, apparently they had to get on a bus and bus to a different airport because of where they were, the proximity to the Super Bowl. They couldn't get flights out of the Berkeley area, so they had to drive a couple hours in a different direction, essentially, to find an airport that could move them.
By the way, as of right now, the ESPN matchup predictor gives Clemson an 86.7% chance to win tomorrow over Virginia Tech, which is pretty significant.
It's nice to have an opponent like that be your first matchup, because if they had to play Duke in their first matchup after coming back, they might be in trouble.
Be bad. Now they get a few days, like you said. You mentioned Duke. That's on Saturday. That's in Durham, making the short trip up to Durham to Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's a noon tip on Saturday. But here we are. Let's kind of refocus, Diesel, because just a couple of weeks ago, you and I sat here and talked about, well, they lost to NC State. Okay, they have Georgia Tech. Then they have Pitt, right? 2 winnable games, and they won both. And then we talked about, okay, well, let's look. They go on the road. They go out on that West Coast trip, and Stanford and Cal, two tough teams. I mean, they're not spectacular. Let's see how they do out there. It's almost like, other than a hiccup there or a hiccup here and there, like with NC State, it's almost like right now Brad Brownell has all the answers to the test. It's going to get a lot tougher. But so far, when you look at what they've done, I think that 2-win streak or that 2-win trip out to Cal was really successful, right? That's big to go out on the road that far and win. And then if they can take down Virginia Tech, which I think they do, it kind of like, I don't want to say it all comes down to Duke, because it doesn't make or break the season.
About that, did you happen to catch the box score of that Louisville-NC State game last night? NC State put up 77 points, and in most college basketball games, 77 points will get you a pretty good shot at winning a basketball game.
Should be, yeah.
But they faced a Louisville team that was just lights out from three. Louisville made 18 3-pointers in last night's game, scored 56 points in the first half, 62 points in the second half to win Cole by almost 50.
And that's insane, because what's crazy about that is
NC State didn't play bad.
No, and Louisville's been so inconsistent this year. And 118, like, God, that's an NBA score, it feels like, right?
It was absurd. 18 of 30 from three. Now, the opposite, NC State was going to have to try to hit threes to catch up in any way they could. They went 4 of 22. They just couldn't make a three to save their lives.
All right. We'll talk about it on Friday, but gut feeling. You've seen this Clemson team now. Mm-hmm. What's your gut tell you about Saturday? Because Clemson and Duke are both at the very top. Clemson now in not sole possession. Clemson and Duke are both 10-1, right, in the conference. Conference standings are neck and neck, with Duke and Clemson both 10-1. 2 good teams. Duke has a better record overall, 21-2. Clemson's lost 4 games this year. Duke's lost 2. Clemson's lost 1 game at home. Duke hasn't lost at home this year, which is really impressive and not surprising, right? What's your gut tell you about Saturday now that we are a few days away?
Being that it's a home game, it's going to be raucous in there. I think they have a really good shot, because look at this Duke team. They were consistently scoring in the 80s in the middle part of that season, 80s and touching into the 90s a couple times. But their last 3 games, Cole, they've scored 83 at home against Louisville, 72 on the road against Virginia Tech, 67 at home against Boston College.
Yeah.
They are not scoring and 68 points in that loss to North Carolina. And hey, North Carolina plays really good defense as well. I think there's a good chance that this Clemson team holds Duke to 60 points. And if that's the way this game is going to go, grind it out possession by possession, I like Clemson's ability not to win big. I mean, they're not going to beat them 80-60 or anything like that, but I could certainly see them winning like a 6-point game with a total somewhere around 125.
I think it's going to be extremely challenging, to your point about it being at Cameron. I've been there one time for a basketball game, and it's unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable.
Oh, I said that wrong. I read that wrong. I thought the game was at Clemson.
No, I thought you said it was at Cameron. I'm sorry.
That was my mistake.
I wasn't even listening good enough. I've been there one time. It's an incredible atmosphere. It's so tough to win there, and I think that will be a big challenge for Clemson. A noon game, it's going to be packed. I like Clemson's style, right? I said yesterday, I think Clemson's team last year was more talented, but I think we talk about this a lot. Styles do make fights, and while I think on paper Duke's the more talented team than Clemson Saturday, right now I'm leaning Duke. I think Clemson's style is what's going to make Saturday so fascinating, because in college basketball, styles can make fights, and Clemson Duke's been competitive, man. You remember what happened last year with Cooper Flagg?
Yeah.
Slipping and Clemson pulling it out. Like, this has been a very competitive series as of late, and I don't think Clemson's going to win. I don't think they're more talented, but I do think the style in which they play is going to create some opportunities for them to keep themselves in the game late. I think they're going to have to hit some shots late as well. Duke's just so talented. I watched that Duke-North Carolina game on Saturday, man, and Duke kind of controlled that game the entire time until the end, right? There were 2 different moments in the game where Duke went up what felt like 15 points, felt like Duke went up big twice. North Carolina just stormed back. So that's what you have to do. You have to hang around. And what North Carolina do, Diesel, they hung around on Saturday, but going back to what I just said, you're going to have to hit some shots, some big shots on Saturday up in Durham to win that game. And does Clemson have that guy that goes on the road? And maybe they do, but it's going to be tough. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, all-time Clemson has not had a lot of luck at Cameron. But I think this team is gettable, even though with Boozer, they've got some really, really good players there at Duke. He's a star for Duke this year. That's something that Clemson lacks. So, we've alluded to it with Grayson Mann. If Clemson gets down 8 points against Duke with a minute and a half to play, who are they going to put the ball into their hands to say, hey, go hit a couple threes and keep us in this ball game? I don't know who the answer to that question is, and it's somebody different every single night.
A lot of top 25 action tonight, Diesel, in college basketball. 7 o'clock, I think this might be the best game of the night. Purdue, Nebraska. I mean, come on. Big Ten matchup. It's at Nebraska. And here's what's interesting. Purdue's kind of weathered the storm. They're going into this game as a 1.5-point dog. I like Purdue tonight. I think this is going to be the best game of the night. You also have North Carolina, Miami at 7, top 25 matchup, 2 good teams. How does North Carolina respond after a huge win over Duke, right? Do they have a letdown? It kind of feels like, if you were a betting man, right, that Miami might be the play tonight. A little bit of a letdown. It's in Miami. It's a 1.5-point spread favoring the Tar Heels. They're both 7-3 in the conference. We remember how well Miami, Clemson, how good of a game that was. I don't know. I think North Carolina is legit. And by the way, we didn't mention this yesterday. What a big win that was just for Hubert Davis. Felt like that guy needed that win just as much as anybody.
Embattled is a good word to describe Hubert Davis.
JB on the YouTube stream says, I think Clemson loses 3 more regular season games. Duke, Louisville, and North Carolina. Okay, well, let's go look there real quick before we get back to tonight's schedule. Clemson's schedule. Remaining games. They have Virginia Tech tomorrow, Duke on Saturday, Wake Forest, Florida State next week, Louisville the next, North Carolina and Georgia Tech. That's 7 games left. Let's play the game that JB just brought up. What do we think Clemson does? What do we think Clemson goes in these next 7, Diesel? And of those 7, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are at home, even though Clemson's been better on the road. JB says 3 more losses. Do you think they lose 3 more times this year?
Well, I got them winning against Virginia Tech. And who is it? RJ that just texted in and says Wednesday's matchup against Virginia Tech is a trap game for Clemson. Never underestimate a team coached by Mike Young. I still think they get the win in that game anyway.
I do too.
Because, they'll get back. They'll get themselves rested up. They'll get themselves reacclimated. Duke, that's going to be a tough one.
Tough.
I got a feeling, though. I got a feeling on the road they pull that one out.
Ooh,
I think that defense is going to be that good. Win against Wake Forest, win against Florida State. I'm going to say they split Louisville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So they got one there. And then Georgia Tech, they're going to win that one as well. I got them going 6-1 down the stretch.
I think it's interesting that, by the way, if they went 6-1 down the stretch,
that's an amazing stretch.
Huge.
Maybe 5-2.
Yeah. That'd still be good. JB says 3 more. So I'll go win over Virginia Tech. I think they lose to Duke on Saturday. I think they beat Wake Forest, beat Florida State. I think that Louisville game is going to be incredibly tough. I could see why JB likes Louisville. I mean, my God, you said they scored, 118 last night? Yeah. I mean, if they score 118, nobody's beating them. I think Clemson beats Louisville. I do. So I'll go 2, maybe 3. You're a little more gracious than I am over the next 6 or 7, but I do think they close out the season with a win at home against Georgia Tech before they go into ACC play. But heck, I mean, that 7-game stretch is some pretty tough games in there. So, I think best case scenario is what? 6-1?
Yeah.
And then worst case is probably maybe 4-3 there with losses to those 3, Duke, North Carolina, Louisville. But here's the question before we run off the break. How do you feel if you're a Clemson fan? Let's say you went 4-3 over the next 7, Diesel, with losses to Louisville, North Carolina, and Duke.
Yeah.
How does that change your mind? I think it probably, I don't want to say
breaks your confidence quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it certainly knocks you down in the minds of the people who are going to be seeding these brackets.
I think they might fall to maybe a 6 or 7, maybe 8 seed. I don't know that they'll fall to an 8 seed. If they were to lose those 3, I think they'd probably land around a 6, maybe a 7. But I don't think, to your point about confidence, you don't want to have to go into the tournament thinking, well, we've lost to the good teams, but we beat the average. You don't want that.
Cole, the Charlotte Hornets were a team that was on a streak. They were playing hot basketball. Well, now instead of streaky, we can call them a punchy basketball team. What happened last night in Charlotte, man, it'll make you open your eyes, and hopefully it'll make you like this team even more. We'll get into it next right here on the Fan Upstate. You know, Cole, we started the show talking about eligibility for Charles Bediako. Not the same as Trinidad Chambliss's situation. He was trying to use a medical red shirt to get some additional years of eligibility, but this just came across my Instagram feed. The NCAA has granted Montana linebacker Solomon Tuliaupupu a 9th year of eligibility in college football. I mean, it's not technically 9 years of eligibility because he was hurt a lot during his time in college football. But get this, he was in the signing class of 2018.
That's unbelievable. That's the same year. Think about this. That's the same year Sam Darnold was drafted in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
In 2018, he signed with USC, missed the season with a foot injury. 2019, he missed the season with that same foot injury. 2020, he missed the season with a knee injury. 2021, he missed the season with that same knee injury. 2022, he actually gets on the field. So his eligibility should have been gone by the time he actually got on the field. 2023, he missed the season with a knee injury. 2024, he appeared in 9 games following recovery from that injury. 2025, he transferred to Montana, and the NCAA just gave him a 9th year, calendar year, to play college football at Montana.
That's unbelievable, man. I just that's where we are, though.
That make him 27 years old?
Just barely younger than me.
That's not fair.
No,
it's not fair to 18-year-old kids playing college football.
I will say though,
a 27-year-old man.
Hey, the good thing about it makes guys like me. It took 5 years to get to college. Makes me feel a whole lot better. Right? Hey, I mean, I just got more eligibility. It was medical red shirt and COVID and all.
You still have all 5 of your years.
God, I mean, it's crazy, but it's sad.
Cole, last night, I wish I could have watched this. I have really, really wanted to tune in and watch this Charlotte Hornets run. As somebody that grew up in the Charlotte media market, I grew up loving the Hornets, right? I grew up watching Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson and Muggsy Bogues and Del Curry and all those guys. Like I grew up loving the Charlotte Hornets. As a matter of fact, I had a Muggsy Bogues height chart on the back of my door, my bedroom door as a kid. And all I wanted to do in my lifetime was be taller than Muggsy Bogues. That's all I wanted. Now
that come true?
Finally, just happened last week. But the Charlotte Hornets are on an epic run. The only problem is we can't watch it unless you want to pay extra for it. Thanks a lot, NBA. Thanks a lot for moving everything behind a paywall.
You've got to get these links, man. You've got to get these links.
I know there are ways. Okay, yeah. I know.
Well, if you want to watch it bad enough, you just get that link, and it's easy. I don't know what I mean. I'm not like advocating. I'm just saying there's ways to watch.
Well, this game was on FanDuel last night, which you can apparently get through your Amazon subscription. You can add it to your Amazon. Like I need my Amazon to be more expensive. But the game last night, Cole, unfortunately, did snap the Charlotte Hornets winning streak. That streak has come to an end. They lost to the Detroit Pistons. But that's not the notable thing. The notable thing is that 4 different players got ejected from the game because a fist fight broke out on the court. It got wild, man.
And it wasn't like some pushing and shoving.
No.
It was a good one, though. Like, I know we shouldn't advocate.
It was a brouhaha.
I mean, it was a good one. I will say, like, last night I saw those highlights. I think that's the worst NBA fight I've seen in a while. It was punches
certainly approaching Malice in the Palace. Like it could have spilled out because there was one point where a player got pushed into the sideline, which could have spilled that brawl out into the crowd.
It's fun though. I like it. I'm with it, man.
So if you weren't watching, Detroit's Jalen Duren had the ball, was driving towards the basket about 7 minutes ago in the third quarter. He was fouled by Charlotte's Musa Diabate. Duren turned around and got face to face. They were butting heads, like foreheads touching each other's foreheads. And then this is when it got really wild. It's when Jalen Duren put his palm on Musa Diabate's face and shoved him away, pushed him away. That, of course, lit everybody up. People started throwing punches in multiple areas of the court. It's got wild, dude.
I've now got more than one reason to go to Charlotte games. Number one, they're good right now. Look, the NBA is a long season. Things could change. They could tank and get really, really bad. But they're almost back to 500. Number two, the fight, I mean, they're entertaining. It's a dinner and a show atmosphere, right? Like, I feel like I need to double my pay just to see a fight.
I was hoping that it would be one of the new players that just came in, because like that would show, all right, this guy is here to fight for this team, literally here to fight for this team. There was one point during that fight, Cole, in which Isaiah Stewart for the Detroit Pistons, who wasn't even in the game, by the way, he was in street clothes. He came off the bench to start throwing punches as well. The NBA has a very strict policy on that, saying you cannot leave the bench. He's going to get a $50,000 fine. It's bad. It's bad for both these teams. It's not something you want to see, but at the same time, it's fun to watch.
Charlotte didn't play bad. They just allowed Cade Cunningham to go for like 33 last night for Detroit. So Detroit's a good team, though, 39-13. Yeah. Hey, we've got to get to audio from the Super Bowl. We did not have time to do that. What it sounded like, that's next. Well, we've got to hear what it sounded like. What am I talking about? What it sounded like after the Super Bowl was over on Sunday. A lot of audio, plus some audio, man, that we didn't get to yesterday when it comes to the Hall of Fame. And one player, one former NFL player that kind of took a hard stance, and I love him for doing so. But Diesel, first, let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. TT wants to weigh in on the very last conversation we were having about the Hornets. What's up, TT?
Hey there. I was listening to Diesel, take me back. And I was just, remembering the NBA for at least mostly after games, there wasn't all this hugging and commiserating. And, you can kind of see the sort of, just think about how wrestling would go if after a match, all the wrestlers would come together in the ring, clasp hands and bow or something. I mean, nobody would watch that, and there's just a feeling that, we want that feeling that teams don't like each other. We're
Sure.
tired of seeing the hugs, and it's just devoid of passion. I feel like the passion, it's basically their lifestyle that they're, happy about. So anyway, that was my comment. I just wanted to make that comment. I appreciate it.
No, I think you're right.
Thanks, TT.
Appreciate the phone call. I think Diesel, he's 100% right in the sense of like, here's what's different. A lot of these NBA fans grew up loving the NBA, and you talked about the fights, from back in the day, and how things got a lot more physical, and it, it wasn't like, I'm not saying it was good basketball because fighting's not basketball, but we as fans, like, we tune into NASCAR to watch the crashes, the wrecks, we want the excitement. And I think it's kind of the new culture that the younger athletes and people my age have kind of brought with them of like, hey, everybody, you're friends with everybody. Social media, I think, is the reason for that, because you have this level of connectedness that you didn't have before. So you're kind of friends with these guys.
I don't remember which game it was. I tuned in to watch a couple minutes of right at tip off of an NBA game the other night, and they were showing clips of the pregame warmups.
Mm-hmm.
And you had players from opposite teams who maybe they knew each other from college. I don't know. I didn't know who these two guys were, but they were like dapping up, doing secret handshakes. I'm like, come on, the game hasn't even started yet. Like, you can't be buddy with the other team before the game starts, because to me, that tells me you're not going to play as hard, because it doesn't mean as much for you to beat that other guy. And nowadays, Colt, like the trades they're so much more frequent than they used to be. You got drafted by a team and you played most of your career there, at least as a superstar. You played most of your career for that same team. Yeah, the last 5 years you might bounce around a little bit, but if you had a beef with the guy from the other team, there was a good chance you were never going to be on the same team as that guy. Now they're just like, hey man, I like the way you play. I like the way you play. Maybe we should be on a team together, and they'll put them on a team together. And you can't really be chummy and buddy with somebody if 2 years ago y'all were giving each other the death stare and slamming each other to the floor on a box out.
Well, I see it in high school athletics firsthand, and in a way that I think, to TT's call, Diesel, I think we've never seen before, like rivalry games that used to be the most heated rivals at the high school level in the state of South Carolina. The players, they know each other now. They play AAU together, right?
Yeah.
They're on the same teams in the summer. They train together in the offseason, so they're buddies. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but like, I totally feel the same way. Some of these old rivalries in South Carolina, when you talk about some of the programs that have the most tradition with the Somervilles and the Gaffneys and the Burns, it's unbelievable. You see players, trading jerseys now. And again,
I was going to ask you about that. Do they do that in high school?
They do. I've seen it. I saw it a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I don't love it, but it's this new age we live in.
Wait a minute. That's not your jersey. That's the school's jersey. And then again,
take a picture.
Back in my day, you wore the same jerseys like 2 or 3 years in a row.
But
for the school, they didn't replace them every year.
It's all because of what social media has done,
Sure.
I think. Let's get to some audio from what it sounded like in the Super Bowl. Before we get to post Super Bowl, let's go pre-Super Bowl. Over the weekend, I don't know if you've heard this. Rodney Harrison who is an eventual Hall of Famer. Diesel, one of the best ever at his position, I think caught wind that Tony Dungy, we all know Tony Dungy, I think Rodney Harrison caught wind that Tony Dungy didn't vote for Bill Belichick. They're both on the same set for NBC. And you tell me what the tone and demeanor of what Rodney Harrison screams to you here in this audio from over the weekend right before Super Bowl Sunday.
What I would say, Coach, is any list that doesn't include Bill Belichick at the top is absolutely wrong. And a lot of those players that we mentioned, they're great players. I played with Drew Brees. I played with Adam Vinatieri. But there's nobody more deserving to be in that Hall of Fame than Coach Belichick. I've seen his greatness. I've seen him design defenses to stop your offense. And you just look at the players that he's impacted. He's been unbelievable. And when I look out throughout the Hall of Fame, and even a guy like Tom Brady wouldn't be Tom Brady without Bill Belichick. And that's the disappointing part of it, Coach. And you guys got it wrong.
Well,
whoa. Hey. Meanwhile, he's like literally feet closer than you and I are to Tony Dungy. That doesn't sound like to me, Diesel, Rodney Harrison's assuming or maybe just guessing that Tony Dungy didn't vote for Bill. It sounds to me in that audio like that guy knows Tony Dungy didn't vote for Bill Belichick.
I mean, he could have been meaning you, plural. You the committee that were.
Yeah, he said you guys, but I don't know. So here was Tony's response.
And I'm with you. And this is about more than Bill Belichick, because in the last 2 years since the rule has been changed, we've had 7 open slots, 7 people who deserve to be in that didn't get in because of this rule change. It has to change. We've been vocal about it as voters, and hopefully it will change.
Did you vote for Bill Belichick?
I think I'm going to go back and play that question from Jack Collinsworth. I think that's a weak excuse. I like Tony Dungy, but like blaming it on the rule, it don't matter if you get 7 or 3. Like it just doesn't. I don't want to hear that.
Otherwise, you're saying, I wish we had the ability to just vote for everybody.
Yeah, we're talking about Bill Belichick here. Now, here was with Jack Collinsworth. I love this question, and this was ballsy. Here's what Jack said.
About it as voters, and hopefully it will change.
Did you vote for Bill Belichick?
Jack, I'm not going to disclose that. When you come on the committee,
translation,
take an oath that you're not going to discuss any of the debates, anything that happened there. I'm not going to put any of my teammates under the bus, who they voted for, who I voted for. Here's the situation, okay? In this category, coaches, contributors, senior players, there are 5 finalists. You could vote. We voted as a team. Our group voted. Roger Craig got the most votes. I stand behind that as a teammate. That's how we voted. But here's the problem. We voted for 3 people. There are 2 other slots available. Bill Belichick definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Robert Kraft deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. L.C. Greenwood deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And Anderson deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And we've got 2 slots. But because of a change that the Hall of Fame made 2 years ago, none of those guys got in. And it wasn't because of us. People think that we voted against Bill Belichick. We did not. As a matter of fact, if the vote, same exact vote, had taken place, same totals 2 years ago, Bill Belichick would be in, so would another deserving Hall of Famer, and that's why I'm upset.
Sounds like excuses to me. I mean, I don't want to throw my teammates under the bus and who in terms of who we voted for. Did you vote for him? Yes or no? Like that's it. It's very simple. If I voted for Bill Belichick, I don't know what Tony Dungy, how he would respond. I'd say, yeah, I voted for him.
If you have to take a vote away from a guy that was a part of 8 Super Bowls, won 6 as a head coach, to give it to somebody else that most current fans have never heard of, that player wasn't all that deserving.
And let's like,
if they were that good, why didn't they get in 20 years ago when they first became eligible?
And all the math and the number stuff, I don't want to hear it. I mean, that is just a lame freaking excuse there. All right, now post Super Bowl. Boy, a lot to get to here. Let's start with a Gamecock, Diesel. How about that? Ernest Jones, a Gamecock, one of 3 Gamecocks that played in the big game on Sunday. Here's on Ernest Jones postgame.
Congratulations, champ. Thank you. 11 tackles.
Mm-hmm. Who had 11?
You, bro.
Somebody,
Okay.
Okay. How about that?
That sounds great.
Defense.
Ernest Jones had no idea. He had 11 tackles in the Super Bowl, which is, number one, phenomenal. Number two is pretty tough, right? Like, not, I don't know if he really knew or not. I guess he didn't. Ernest Jones, a former Gamecock, a big part of the win on Sunday, Diesel, but a very humble guy. 11 tackles. Him and Nick Emenwori made impacts in the game. So I love to hear it. I love the local guys shining on Sunday.
Huge.
Vrabel post-game. What Mike Vrabel say after the tough loss? Here was audio from him.
What did you see from Drake tonight? And you mentioned the turnovers.
Yeah, this is, we can sit here and try to put it on one guy. You'll be disappointed because that'll never happen. It starts with us as coaching staff and making sure that, that we're doing our part. And then obviously we have to be able to execute. We got to be able to protect. When we do protect, we have to be able to progress through and throw the ball to the guy that's open and, and help the quarterback. And then he's got to be better. Like, that's just how it goes. So, that's never going to change.
Is it unfair to put the loss on Drake May, Diesel, in your opinion?
Yeah. I mean, he deserves as much blame as anybody else for the loss. I mean, he gets 1/22 of the blame, right? Nobody on that team played well. Running backs didn't play well. Wide receivers didn't catch the ball. Drake May didn't throw the ball accurately. The O-lineman couldn't keep him upright.
Defense was the only thing that really kind of held New England in it.
They were good until, fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you can only ask them to do so much. They held. I mean, I thought the first half they were really, really. I mean, it was 9-0 at the half, right? So another piece of audio from Vrabel. That one was about Drake May. Here's audio number 2 from Mike Vrabel on Sunday.
Rhythm, field position. We got to get into drives better offensively. Defensively, we've been really good against the run lately, and we weren't. And, again, we were just playing catch up. And we did a great job in the red zone, and we competed. But unfortunately, I think the turnovers, ultimately costed us. And I appreciate the way that the guys offensively battled and competed, but just not enough consistent, execution.
So, I'm not going to disagree with an NFL head coach because he knows he's forgotten more football than I'll ever know. Diesel, I understand that. But I am going to, in a way, disagree with something Vrabel said there. And I think 90% of the time he's right. Turnovers are the reason you lose. I don't think turnovers are the reason they lost that game. They had more possessions than Seattle. You give that team 3 more possessions, I still don't think they win. Diesel, you and I can get into a car, your Jeep, my car, whatever, and we can run head first into this building as much as we want. If we do it 10 more times, this building's still going to stand here. The Patriots' offense was too stagnant. Do turnovers matter? Yes, they matter. I'm not saying they don't matter, but I don't know that I agree with them that it all came down to them turning the football over. I just feel like it wouldn't have mattered. They couldn't move the ball.
No, they couldn't get anything done. I mean, that first drive, they actually got a first down. Outside of that,
they didn't have a first down after that for a
4
while.
plays, punt, 3 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt, 6 plays, punt. End of the first half. It's that third quarter. 3 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt. I mean, they didn't get aggressive in any of those situations. If you see that the Seattle defense is so good that you're not going to be able to move the ball on them, you got to get aggressive. You got to take some chances. You got to throw in some trick plays, some misdirection, anything. Throw a fake punt at them. Throw a fake kickoff at them. Anything, but they didn't.
And that's why I said yesterday that I put more blame on Josh McDaniels than I do anybody else, the offensive coordinator, because when they realized at some point, Diesel, you have to realize, hey, what we're doing is not working. We've got to choose to do something different. They didn't help their quarterback. I would have liked New England, Diesel to have gone more empty. Go more empty. Put 2 tight ends on the line of scrimmage to at least, we go back to what we said yesterday. Seattle was getting home with 4 rushers, 4 defenders. I would have liked to seen Josh McDaniels say, hey, we're going to go empty. We're going to go 2 tight ends, 12 personnel on the line of scrimmage to at least help with the edge guys and see if that can free up some maybe a half second more for Drake May to throw the football. They didn't do any of that.
And on top of that, I mean, if those guys can hold back and they're not getting pushed back into the pocket, that gives Drake May some more room to move laterally. Not necessarily take off with his legs, but at least it gives him some lateral movement to be able to help somebody get open.
What about Clint Kubiak post-game? Hey, I know you just won the Super Bowl and you want to celebrate, but no, we want to ask you about your next job. He did take the Las Vegas Raiders job today. He had a press conference. But how about this audio? No time to celebrate for Clint.
What does the future look like as a head coach in this league for you? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's up to God, and we're gonna enjoy tonight. Yeah.
So no answers on the network.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys know I'm going to Las Vegas, so I'm fired up about it. But tonight, one more for one more night. Hell yeah, I'm going. Of course I'm going. Yeah.
Just confirmed it right here. What does the future look
no
like?
time to celebrate.
That's all she cares about is getting that sound bite. That's what her boss has said. Hey, get him to say he's going to Vegas.
Yeah, everybody knew he was going. I just think, again, I said this last week, it's so shoddy, in my opinion, that you're like this reporter. You have blonde hair. You got the job because you're pretty, right? You probably didn't go to journalism school. And then you're just going to, I mean, the one question you're asking them after a Super Bowl is, hey, you going to Vegas? Like, it's just shoddy work, in my opinion. You got all these choices. I mean, you're standing next to the head coach that just won the game.
At the very least, have somebody feed her a good question. If she doesn't know sports enough to come up with a good question there, have somebody feed her. There is a team of people who know football on that broadcast crew. Send her a text. Ask him this question word for word.
Diesel, DeMarcus Lawrence, I mentioned yesterday, he was who I was pulling for the most. He's from South Carolina, played high school football in South Carolina, played like 10 seasons for my Cowboys, first year in Seattle, went to Super Bowl. Did you know the situation with DeMarcus Lawrence's wife in the press box on Saturday or Sunday night? Well, she was expected to go into labor. So they brought DeMarcus's wife's doctor with them to the game. So DeMarcus Lawrence's wife, Diesel, was in the press box, right, in a suite, rather, and sitting next to her in that suite was her pregnancy doctor, literally sitting next to her just in case she went into surgery. So when DeMarcus Lawrence was interviewed post-game, he didn't care about the game. This was exactly what DeMarcus said after the game on Sunday.
Maybe on the way, and you just won the Super Bowl.
Where's my wife? She's not in labor, right?
No, I don't believe she is.
Okay, yeah. Man, what an amazing ride. All glory goes to God, you know.
DeMarcus, you've been waiting.
Can you imagine playing the game not knowing? I mean, the wife deserves a lot of credit, too. The wife's literally sitting in the suite, Diesel, with the labor doctor sitting beside her. That's incredible.
Imagine being able to say, and this is an opportunity missed. Imagine being able to say, I was born in the press box at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're the doctor, you're not going to get her to a hospital before it happens.
Suite 4B.
Yeah. Have a medical team ready to go.
They did.
Boil some sheets. Boil some water and get some sheets.
They were ready, man. Kenneth Walker, post-game. He had a big game. In fact, MVP for Seattle.
My dad, he comes out to Seattle all the time and watch games, but he never goes to the game because he don't like crowds. So this is his first NFL game, and, we won a Super Bowl, so it means a lot to me, and I know he's proud of me for real. I wasn't the one that convinced him, actually. My agent convinced him to come out here. So I didn't think he would come. They ended up miking him up and everything. So
how about that? Kenneth Walker's dad, first ever Super Bowl, first ever NFL game, Diesel. He doesn't go because of the crowds, and it just so happens to be the Super Bowl that he goes to. Here's audio from Drake May after the tough loss on Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, he was a heartbeat. No doubt about that. He was he's the reason why we're here. He's always the same, and look forward to my relationship with him for a long time. He's a great person and hell of a football coach.
Did you see where, by the way, Will Campbell came out today, Diesel? He spoke to the media after we all gave, like the national media. I was pretty hard on Will Campbell yesterday, offensive lineman for New England. Did you see where he came out today and said he had a torn ligament in his leg? So a lot of people were saying, oh, it's just an excuse. Obviously, I'm not going to say a torn ligament's an excuse. That's a serious injury. and maybe an explanation as to why Will Campbell wasn't the best on Sunday for New England.
Speaking of the best, let's talk to the best, Rocco Miller of Bracketeer.org. He knows all when it comes to college basketball. He's going to join the show next, right here on the Fan Upstate. Well, football is officially done unless you watch spring football. That's weird. It is basketball season all the way until the end of March and even a couple of days into April. To talk all things college basketball, we go to the man, Rocco Miller of Bracketeer.org. Rocco, we'll talk about that big game last night that saw Arizona take their first loss of the season. But I want to start locally here. And as it pertains to the Louisville game against NC State last night, where Louisville absolutely dismantled them, Clemson's got to face Louisville here in just 18 days. What do you think about Clemson's ability, which they've shown all season, to get back and set their defense faster than most? And how much of a threat is Louisville to do that again against the Tigers?
Yeah, great question. I mean, great performance by Louisville. They've obviously got a high gear if you let them get rolling. They have shooters all over the floor, especially with Miko Brown back in full force for the last couple of weeks. And so you have to account for those shooters. But I think it does start in transition, like you mentioned. And Clemson's been elite defensively in being organized and slowing down teams that want to get up and down and really be a pain in their side. Not only that, but the effective field goal percentage defense is one of the best in the country, 13th best in the country today, Clemson has. So that tells me they're getting after shooters. They're making it difficult to shoot over the top. Part of that has to do with some of the positional size that Clemson has on the wing. The other parts is just pure effort. You know, Brad Brownell and the staff always are working at that. 16th in the country right now, Clemson is defending the three-point line, allowing just 29.5% from deep. I think that will be the key to that matchup when we get to Saturday, February 28th, Cole. But until then, you know, Clemson in the meantime, they'll have to play a Virginia Tech team that likes to space and pace as well. And you also have Duke coming up on Saturday. So a lot bigger fish to fry here earlier before we get to Louisville.
Rocco, when you look at what happened on Saturday night with North Carolina and Duke, man, what a game it was. Obviously, the game's important, but it kind of feels like for the second year in a row, we're talking about John Shire complaining about court storming, not saying it's not valid. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. If you're Duke, anybody beats you, they're storming the court. It's just the way it is. And now, luckily for Duke, they don't lose very often. So maybe it's just a couple of times per season. But I think in the court storming thing, I think it's one of the most fun things you can be a part of when you are college age. I went to Washington when back during the time when Stanford was undefeated. We beat them on the last day of the season to give Stanford their only loss. It's back when they had Childress and those guys. And it was one of the best days ever as a student, as a fan. I would never want to take that out of the game. Obviously, there's some legit safety concerns where if somebody gets punched or that type of thing, you don't want to see that. But at the same time, when you're in your young 20s, you're used to going out and being part of scenes like that all the time. And I really think we make more to do about it than is necessary. And I think we should embrace it. And if they want to institute a 10-second delay or something, I don't know how you would enforce it, but if you want to do that, that's fine. But otherwise, I have no issue with it, really.
Rocco, do you believe that specifically to this case, Bubba Cunningham or with the ACC at large, Jim Phillips, do you think they really want to do anything about it? I mean, yeah, there's a fine structure that starts at 50,000 and then goes up to 100,000, but students don't care about that, right? They're just kids in a dorm room. But this is great exposure for the school. The game will make SportsCenter a couple times for the next 24 to 48 hours, but that court storming is going to be shown again and again and again. This is great. You can't buy that kind of exposure.
Exactly. We're in this exposure era right now, right? Where you're always looking for ways to gain attention, get young people looking at your university. Recruiting is huge for the program. Enrollment is huge for the school. And that all helps, right? You want to show that you have one of the best environments. Obviously, in Duke, North Carolina case, those are two blue bloods. I don't think they really have to have it like some of the other schools. If it's like an Oklahoma State one, we saw that when they beat BYU, right? That might be more important at a place like that, but I think it still all helps. And I think in general for the ACC, trying to show that they're back, and they are with 7 to 10 bids coming up this year, it's good for the league. Like the ACC will take that picture and that video and they'll run with it as well. So I think you can read the writing on the wall just by the way the league behaves with it outside of the statements they make.
Rocco, earlier in the show, in the first hour, we were having the conversation with a few of our listeners about this next stretch for Clemson. When you look at their remaining 7 games, obviously they have the likes of Virginia Tech and Wake Forest and Georgia Tech coming up, but you do see 3 games in there with Duke, North Carolina, and Louisville, a team you were just talking about when Diesel asked you the question about the Cards. But what do you make seeing this Clemson team, but also seeing the rest of the country and knowing how good North Carolina, Duke, and Louisville can be on any given night?
Well, the key to it is Clemson has to play both Duke and Carolina on the road.
Yeah.
And neither team has lost a home game all year. So the expectation going in, as well as Clemson has played, is that those are 2 losses on paper, and everything else needs to be a win. You get Virginia Tech at home, Louisville at home, find ways to get those wins. You know, you would finish the conference season at 15-3, probably still not good enough to overtake Duke for the ACC championship, but man, really good chance at a number 2 seed in the ACC tournament. That's a heck of a year for Clemson standards. And then anything you can do at North Carolina or at Duke, if you can pull off one of them, that's an incredible, incredible season. Again, assuming that hold serve and all the others, and that's not easy with Louisville, Virginia Tech. Even road Wake Forest is tricky. Like anything can happen in Winston-Salem. But I think that's the outlook. I think it should be expected, and I think North Carolina, of course, is the more beatable team. They've had performances where you scratch your head. They came out here to the Bay Area, lost both games to Cal and Stanford. They got dominated by SMU on the road. I just think they're a different beast at home. They showed that against Duke, and you kind of almost have to expect it analytically to go their way. But again, Clemson, with their defensive mentality, it keeps them in ball games for all 40 minutes and just find a way to stay in the fight, hang around to the final segment of the game and make a move. You know, it's not unfathomable for them to steal a win in either venue based on the style of play.
Rocco, it's been less than 24 hours since the Charles Bediako ruling came down. What was your reaction to that, and just your general thoughts about the likelihood that this ruling is seen as precedent and sort of slowly matriculates and becomes the law of the land?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the biggest difference between him and Najee and the other G League players that have been approved to play this year is the fact that he forego his eligibility. You know, we talked about that, I think, on previous weeks together. And that you're declaring that you're leaving the NCAA to pursue a pro career at that point. There has to be at least enough enforcement from the NCAA level, and the courts defending that is really important for the entire structure of the sport. If Bediako had been allowed to continue forward and broke that precedent, then we would be dealing with a whole slew of other players, not only looking to reverse course from them foregoing their own eligibility, but then also the future NBA drafts, where we have this set structure where you can go play at the G League camp and come back to college. You can go play at the bigger NBA camp and come back to college. If you don't get the evaluation you want, you have a set deadline that you have to announce you're coming back. Well, if Bediako would have won the case, all of that would go away because the NIL agents would keep pushing forward with more and more boundaries, that there's really a blurred line now between college basketball and the NBA. And that would also open the doors for things like players getting signed mid-season from colleges and going to a pro team, which we have boundaries around right now. I think that'd be very important to protect. And I think that's what this represents. I think that's what a lot of the public was maybe misinformed on. Certainly the way Alabama's approaching it has been more misleading because it was directly different than the other G League players that have came in. Those guys never played in college basketball before. So theoretically, they hadn't foregone their eligibility. They had signed G League contracts without going through the NBA draft process. And that's the process that needs to be protected, the NBA draft process, and not blurring those lines. And so I guess with this ruling, we can at least hopefully depend on when somebody says they're declaring for the NBA draft and foregoing their eligibility, that is that. Doesn't matter if they use their 5-year clock or not.
We're talking to Rocco Miller of Bracketeer.org right here on the Fan Upstate. Rocco, the one story that we're not talking about enough in college basketball 2025, 2026 is what?
Probably the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Oh, big one tonight.
Yeah, big one tonight. They still have a lot of tough games to go. But I was just thinking about them yesterday, even more, that they've been able to sustain that 20-0 start. They're 21-2. Obviously, they lost to Michigan and Illinois close. But this team won the Crown Tournament last year and kept some of the same guys. Shows that there is some value in the other postseason events, not just March Madness. And I think that's a unique story. UCF was also in the championship game. They've had an improved year now. They have a lot more new faces. But I just think with Nebraska, like, they don't have the basketball history at all. I think it's been, I have to look it up when the last time they actually won a tournament game has been. I know it's been several years, if not decades. So it's a great story, and I think it should be a national story. I think it's similar to Indiana football. They're not as good as Indiana football quite yet, clearly, but the fact that they're a 2 seed in the projected bracket today and a pretty clear 2 seed with a chance to still be a 1 seed on February 10th, guys, that should be a huge story.
You know, Rocco, not to jump back into the previous question, but LeBron James never went through the draft process. Does that mean after he retires, he could come back and play college ball?
So back when LeBron declared, they had to forego their eligibility. So I'm sticking to my gun.
Do you like the mid-season out of conference challenges? You know, I'm a fan of a Sun Belt school, the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. That was 14-12. I think the Sun Belt won that one. First leg all on MAC conference campuses. Second leg all on Sun Belt campuses. Are they a good thing, bad thing? Should more conferences be doing them?
Absolutely. I think they're a wonderful thing. And in fact, we have a few coming up this Saturday. Louisville's playing Baylor. I know Virginia's playing Ohio State in Nashville. I helped put together a series between Memphis and Utah State that launches on Valentine's Day as well. Unfortunately, Memphis didn't have the kind of year we expected, but that's still great for the sport. And the reason why is we get to the finish line, and right now I'm looking at my last 4 teams in and my first 4 not in, and man, it'd be great if some of these teams could just play. Like if New Mexico could go play Oklahoma State. It's not that far of a trip. We would love to see that right now. We'd have a great data point to separate those 2 teams. Have them play in Dallas or something. If we had San Diego State playing against California, that'd be pretty easy to put together. Play in LA or something, right? So I would love to see more opportunities, even if it's just 1 game in February. This is a great trend that's starting. We used to get it a lot more often. If you go back about 20 years, obviously you guys know about the bracket busters. But more than that, like I remember in 2005, Washington playing at NC State in late February. It's really important because we're trying to, as part of the exercise to put a bracket together, you're trying to separate pieces and entities within leagues. And at a certain point, you've only played league games for 2 months. You start to forget what this team could really do out of conference. Well, every game in the NCAA tournament is a non-conference game for the most part. They say 95% of them are, especially in the first round, it's 100%. So you want to know what that looks like later in the season. And so many teams just haven't, when they played in the non-conference, they're not the same as they are today. Like that's good and bad. Some of them were better earlier, not as good now, and still riding off that early resume. There's other teams that just shot themselves in the foot early that have no chance to get back in it, that we would love to see have a chance at that late in the season.
Talking to Rocco Miller of Bracketeer.org. All right, we're getting more and more data, right, as every week passes, Rocco, when it comes to the SoCon, and with us having a few teams here locally that are local and relevant, and Wofford and Furman right here in our listening area, Wofford and Spartanburg and Furman and Greenville. It's still kind of playing out like you talked about, like we talked about when it comes to the Southern Conference with ETSU being good, but it not being like 1 or 2 teams and everybody else. It feels like still this conference is up for grabs. What do you make of this last stretch as we head for turn 4 in the SoCon?
Yeah, I think it is pretty wide open. East Tennessee State's done a great job of kind of protecting the conference race lead in their big opportunities lately. I thought that game with Furman was big, and Furman made a great charge to get to OT, but ETSU held them off. They also beat Wofford here at the start of the month on the road. So it's ETSU's to lose clearly, but they got to go to Furman a week from tomorrow, and they got to host Wofford at the end of the month. Not to mention, when they play Chattanooga, you can basically throw the record out the window. Yeah. They really got after each other last time, a 1-point game.
And I forgot to mention Chattanooga. That's my apologies as well.
Yeah, no problem. Well, Chattanooga's in some deep trouble, obviously at 4-8. Losing to the Citadel at home last week was really, really strange to see. But at the same time, Dan Earl's been dealing with countless injuries. And if they have any version of themselves available for the SoCon tournament, they're the perfect team to play spoiler. And they might have to do it from like an 8-9 type of game in that bracket. So the league's wide open. You know, East Tennessee State hasn't been dominant enough to run away with it, even from the 1 seed position in Asheville. And I'm fascinated. Like UNC Greensboro is another team I think most people probably wrote off. Well, guess what? They're my SoCon team of the week after winning at Furman just a couple days ago. So it really could come from anywhere because there isn't a team in the top 120 of the country. And that leaves a lot of room for upsets and poor performances and teams to come out of nowhere and take advantage of that.
Rocco, you know, one of my favorite things about the tournament is getting to know smaller programs that aren't out there in the public spotlight all the time. It brings stories like Robbie Avila to the surface, Sister Jean from Loyola, God rest her soul. Do you look at any players or team figures this year that you kind of have your eye on that have a chance at sort of captivating America's imagination?
That's a great question. Well, we have Robbie Avila back in the mix as St. Louis is 23-1, arguably should be 24-0. They blew the one game with a flukish play at the very end of the game. But yeah, so St. Louis will certainly be in that category. I think another one, I don't know if this is going to catch on as much as I love it, but the Troy Trojans are just a crazy story with their 4-game West Coast road trip when they basically could have won at USC. They lose on a left-handed buzzer beater, and they beat San Diego State on the same trip. They've played, I think, 5 or 6 overtime games this year. They've all been crazy. Most of them have gone to at least 2 overtimes, and they feel like a team that America is ready to get behind if they can win the Sun Belt. That's a big if because that league's pretty balanced. But I like the Troy story just based on all the drama they've already had. Is I think compelling and good for television. There should be some other ones too. I mean, I'll come back to that in a week or two because that's a great question.
Rocco, you're the best, man. As always, we appreciate your time. We'll do it again next week.
Perfect. Thanks, fellas.
Rocco Miller, Bracketeer.org. Really good stuff as always. And you know, we try to have big time guests on, and when one of our guests says, "Oh yeah, I helped set this matchup up." I mean, I don't know.
He's not just a guy that talks about the sport.
Come on.
He does it. He's
What are
a
we
mover
talking
and a
about
shaker.
here,
He
man?
makes it happen.
Love Rocco. He's good, really, really good when it comes to college basketball. We've got to get to our daily wires, the top headlines in sports. That's next. Diesel, help if I turn a mic on there. Diesel, we have a lot of headlines to get to. We call them our daily wires.
Buzz.
Undefeated no more. Arizona fell to Kansas last night by a score of 82-78. The Wildcats are now 23-1 on the season. Charlotte, a fight, you mentioned this earlier, between the Detroit Pistons and Charlotte Hornets broke out in third quarter of Monday night's game. It resulted in not one, not two, not three, but 4 player ejections. What are we doing ejecting players for fighting in basketball? They're allowed to fight in hockey, but they're not allowed to fight in basketball. What are we doing?
In hockey, they're wearing pads.
It don't matter.
But they also have knives on their feet. So, you know, a little column A, little column B.
Really long knives.
And all that matters is that you throw a punch. It doesn't matter if you land.
That's true. In Italy, let's see if I can pronounce any of these names here. Ariane Radler and Katharina Huber of Austria won gold in the new team combined event at the Milan Cortina Olympics on Tuesday when Michaela Schifrin surprisingly crossed fourth after wasting a first-run lead by teammate Breezy Johnson. Let's see, Schifrin, the most successful World Cup racer of all time with a record of 108.71, also has now gone 7 straight Olympic races without a medal. That's not a good thing, right? Also, Diesel, U.S. did rout Canada. How about this? Hannah Bielka scores twice as the United States women shut out Canada 5-0 for the first time in the Olympics. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Look at us.
USA.
How about that, man? I'll take it, right? I'll take it. All right, let's see what else in our daily wires here. Team USA lost to Sweden in the gold medal match of mixed doubles curling and earned a silver medal, the first time the U.S. has ever medaled in the event. Santa Clara, California, San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman Keon White was the victim of a shooting in San Francisco early Monday morning, sustaining a bullet wound to his ankle. White underwent successful surgery Monday afternoon, according to his team. His injuries are not considered to be career-threatening, thankfully. The Niners said they will provide further updates when appropriate. Impeding free agent tight end David Njoku has played his first 9 years in the NFL with the Browns. He will not return to Cleveland in 2026. He wrote on his Instagram, it's time for him to find a new home. So no more Browns for David.
That's good. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Just get out of Cleveland.
Rest of the team probably feels the same way as well. Furman, 16-9 on the season, travels to Macon, Georgia tomorrow to take on Mercer. The Bears are 15-10 on the season. Airtime right here on the Fan Upstate, 6:30 p.m. Tip 7 tomorrow.
Furman needs this one.
Furman needs this one.
Yeah.
I think they'll get it. They're the better team. Mercer, they're not a bad team, but I think Furman can get this one tomorrow.
And Furman hasn't had any consistency the last couple of games. They've just been up and down. And I know they've battled injuries and they battled a bug, but you want to see this team start stacking them together.
Burns basketball does play tomorrow, but the game will not be broadcasted on the Fan due to Furman. It was supposed to be broadcasted on the internet only on social media. However, there's not room in the gym, according to Boiling Springs, for me to broadcast the game on the internet, which is wild.
But you get a broadcast on the air?
No. There were 6 years I broadcasted from that gym, and there was room then, but there's not now. I don't know why. So anyways, no Burns broadcast tomorrow on the Fan.
You're not bitter about it at all.
No, it was supposed to be on the internet tomorrow because of the Furman conflict. It was supposed to be just YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Now no broadcast at all. So no room in the inn, if you will, over at Boiling Springs, supposedly. So Burns basketball will be back on the air Friday night hosting Riverside and what will be for Region 2-5A. Wofford 17-8 will take on Samford tomorrow, and Alabama, the Bulldogs, are 13-12 on the season. Landon Powell and North Greenville, the Trailblazers, have started the season 7-0. The Trailblazers will host Newberry tomorrow at home right here in Greenville. First pitch 3:30 p.m.
God, Landon just keeps stacking great season after great season.
All they do is win. That's all they do. Clemson, speaking of baseball, Clemson and South Carolina will open their 2026 baseball campaigns this weekend. Diesel, just some bad news, though, for Clemson. Eric Backett said earlier today pitcher Drew Titsworth and Jacob McGovern will miss opening weekend. And to add on to that, Colin Priest will be out longer than expected with a pulled hammy. So some of Clemson's best players not going early in the season. We talked about this in the very first segment, but Charles Bediako, his college basketball career is over again after an Alabama circuit judge denied his motion for a preliminary injunction Monday, ending the Center's season with the Crimson Tide.
Oh, nuts.
Yeah. Virginia, Jamal Edrine was arrested Thursday and charged with one account of rape and one account of abduction. The school said he is no longer enrolled. Probably a good thing, right? Diesel, pitchers and catchers report today in the MLB. 43 days until opening day.
Why do pitchers and catchers have to show up and get extra work in? Like, come on. You got all these fat-ass shortstops running around, out of shape, not ready to go. They should be reporting on the same day as everybody else.
I love it. Pitchers and catchers,
laps
baby.
in.
43 days until MLB opening day. Also, Marcell Ozuna, if you did not see, is now a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about that?
Oh, how cool is that? Yeah. They need to have all the position players running. What we called them in high school, Cole, we called them plantations.
Yeah.
You have to run the entire school grounds in
Man.
baseball practice.
How about that?
Yeah.
Those are your daily wires.
Bzz. When we come back, Cole, let's talk about the quarterback problem going into this 2026 NFL draft. We got some iffy guys coming out of college. The free agents aren't that good. What are these quarterback needy teams going to do? That's next. You know those things they do every year, Cole, when they evaluate college players who are considering leaving college and going off to the NFL? You know what those things are called? Draft evaluations, right? They look up and down the list of quarterbacks that are going to become available to the NFL this year, and they say, ooh, we like you, you, and you. You guys over there, y'all got some problems. Like, you're probably not going to be an elite quarterback in this league, or we're not going to look at you like you're going to be an elite quarterback in this league. Some of them, they're graduating. They got no choice. That's called time to go get a job or end up on a practice squad somewhere. But others, it should be a signal to say, you need to stay your ass in college and get some extra development before you come off into the league. We've heard lots of guys. Tom Brady, I know, had this. I think we played this audio like 2 years ago. Tom Brady said that we got a major problem when it comes to quarterback development coming out of college. They're not ready to play in the NFL. Part of that is them bouncing from school to school to school, never having any kind of consistent coaching. They get to the NFL, they are not ready to play at all. Well, that seems to be, Cole, some of the issue that we're seeing in the NFL this year as it pertains to the draft that will kick off here in just a couple of short months. Can you believe we are not far away from getting into draft conversation?
Yeah.
The grades for this year's class, and a lot of them are of the variety of, they're too old. They're aging out of the game. They've exhausted their eligibility. But most of them, the NFL is not looking at them like they are good at all. And it coincides with an historically bad free agency class also.
Yeah, and I think the quarterback, conversation, whether it's free agency or the draft, obviously the quarterback's what moves the meter for everybody, but it is the most intriguing part of the conversation, regardless, even if it's bad. Like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's still what moves the meter, though.
Yeah, before we get deep into this conversation about quarterbacks, let's go to Rick in Greer, who's got something to say. Rick.
Okay. I'm during Traveler's Rest tomorrow. I'm going to be working in Traveler's Rest. I'm going to bring you some pizzas. What kind of pizza do y'all want?
We don't need pizzas. They sell them at the store, Rick.
Yeah, but you don't get I work at Domino's.
Okay, we don't. All right. No, you don't, Rick. You don't work there.
Yes, I do. I deliver there 2 days a week. I can prove it. I will bring you some pizza.
We don't need pizza in the store. They sell pizza in the store, Rick.
Well, I'm going to bring two anyway.
What if I told you that I'm not eating bread right now, Rick?
Well, you can eat the toppings off of it, okay? But
but we know that the men who eat pizza with a fork are not men.
Yeah.
So he can't do that either.
The reason I'm doing this is, Dewey, do you hear my voice?
Uh-oh.
I want to meet you and come up to Traveler's Rest tomorrow. I want to meet Dewey the man and shake your hand.
How do you know How do you know that Dewey lives near Traveler's Rest?
Or as a man?
I just know that Dewey lives close to Traveler's Rest.
Really? He's got a Marietta kind of voice?
He's got a redneck kind of voice.
And by the way, thanks to Rick and Greer, we will be at 1500 Gear Highway in Traveler's Rest tomorrow. Thanks for the promotion there, Rick. And, we do believe you. It's just, nothing you say is true, so it's hard to believe you sometimes,
Yeah.
Well, this one you can believe. I'll bring a couple of pizzas. You can throw them away if you want to. But I'm delivering in Traveler's Rest tomorrow, so I'll come out with my little outfit.
Just don't bring pizzas that belong to another customer. That might get you in trouble.
Oh, you called me now. That's what I was going to do.
What about the Tolo last year in the Super Bowl? You remember that? Diesel, who was the Tolo? It was a year ago. He worked at a pizza. I think it was Papa John's. His boss wasn't letting him off for the Super Bowl, and I think we talked him into taking it off, right?
Yeah, he delivered to y'all or somebody that he wasn't supposed to, didn't he?
Yeah, what was his name? You remember, Rick?
No, I don't remember, but I remember Dewey. And I want to meet you, Dewey.
Well,
okay,
Dewey is listening, and Dewey, we'd love to hear from you right now, so that you two can hash this out. But Dewey is messaging in on the stream saying he doesn't know where Traveler's Rest is.
Oh my God!
I want to have an arm wrestling contest with Dewey tomorrow. Okay, be there, Dewey. I'm calling you out, Dewey.
Do you know what time you're going to be there, Rick? Can you give us a time for Dewey?
I have till 5, so about 5:30.
5:30.
Dewey.
Dewey, 5:30 tomorrow. Thanks, Rick.
He's not showing up. No chance.
What if they do, though?
No chance.
We can put those two on video together.
I think I'd leave.
That'd be the slowest conversation.
I think I'd leave if both of them showed up. Just got to go. My time to go. Thanks, Rick.
Dewey, I'm sure, doesn't have a driver's license.
Ask a question. That's a good question.
Can he figure out how to work a bus transfer to get all the way up to Travelers Rest? We'll see. 1500 Gear Highway in Travelers Rest tomorrow. That's where we're going to be. We'll also hook you up with a Ingles gift card. Well, pretty cool.
Dewey's on the line just like that.
Dewey, are you going to come up to Travelers Rest and meet Rick from Greer? 5:30. You've been called to the carpet.
No, because Rick and Greer isn't from Travelers Rest. He don't work at no Domino's. He's full of crap. He needs to shut up.
So are you not coming because you think he's full of crap or because you don't know how to get to Travelers Rest?
Both.
Oh. Well, can your mom drive you? Do you have a legal guardian that can bring you up to TR?
I'll have to get out the map and I'll figure it out. I'll meet him in Greer on the side of I-85, and then I'll push him into traffic.
Jeez, Dewey. What's wrong? What's wrong today?
What if he brought you pizza? Do you like pizza?
I wasn't gonna. That's poison pizza. Don't believe him. It probably has bugs and liver on it or something.
Gross.
I'm going to actually leave y'all alone today. Now I'm angry, and now I got to speak up against that guy you talked about who went to trial about trying to go to college.
Charles Bediako. Say it out loud. Let's try it. Charles Bediako.
Charles Bediako.
God, he did it.
Bediako?
It's pretty good. It's close.
He needs to go sit his silly self down. His college days are over. He failed in the G League. He obviously can't get on the Chicago Bulls team, so he needs to shut up, quit your whining, and all this NIL crap. That's the reason for it. You're going to start seeing NIL in high school next. And all those Burns players, they're going to be wanting to play basketball and football for the next 5 or 6 years. They're going to be like 26 years old still playing high school football. And that's a travesty. Oh.
Thanks, Dewey.
Jeez.
By the way, NIL is already in
here.
like 40 states, so it's coming. It's coming.
What's up, T Experience? Welcome into the text line.
Stream,
excuse me. There you go. Thanks for doing that. And on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube is where you also can jump in the stream and chat it up with T Experience. Dewey is in there. JB is in there as well, Cole. But there's some teams that are going to need quarterbacks this year. We'll do a little grade on their quarterback room as it stands right now and say, do they have to get a quarterback this year, or could they kick the can down the road? We know the Raiders are going to take a quarterback. We know that they're going to take Fernando Mendoza. You do not let him get away if you've got a chance to get him. But they would still have Geno Smith, Aiden O'Connell, and Kenny Pickett on the roster. Let's go down to the Jets. Brady Cook, Hendon Hooker, Tyrod Taylor. Do they have to take a quarterback given what is going to be available out there? Anybody other than Fernando Mendoza is not going to get a first-round grade, so that would be a huge reach to take a quarterback in the first round for any of these other teams. But given who else is going to be out there on the old proverbial block, guys like Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, Malik Willis, even Kirk Cousins, would you forego and rock with what you got?
New York Jets are interesting. They read those three quarterbacks again.
Brady Cook, Hendon Hooker, and Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, it's warm bodies is all it is. So, yeah, you do have – the problem is, though, I just don't know exactly who you go get. Fernando Mendoza is not going to fall to you. Like you said, to your point there, he's going to go number one. But, yeah, they're in quarterback purgatory. There's not a quarterback on their roster that's going to be the guy next year. I can tell you that.
I mean, but here in that situation, though, they can use their early picks to get receivers, to get tight ends, to get offensive linemen. They can go another year. Come on, Jets have had to endure a lot of years of a lot of really bad football.
They're used to it.
You can endure one more to
God.
get yourself some good skill position players so that next year or the year after, when the draft looks better, you're going to be right back here in this position anyway.
Yeah.
So next year, the draft is going to look a heck of a lot better at quarterback. Again, the projected this is not, definitely going to happen in this order, but the list of quarterbacks: Fernando Mendoza, again, the only one with a first-round draft grade; Ty Simpson, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Diego Pavia. You're not going first round for any of those guys.
No.
Maybe Ty, if you could really convince another team that Ty Simpson with just 15 career starts in college is a first-round draft.
And that's the problem. I mean, it's not a terrible problem, but like you said, there is a lot of good skill position out there. They desperately need to, worry about other areas outside of quarterback. But, maybe they can go get somebody in free agency. Maybe there's somebody out there they can get in free agency, but they need a lot. They need a lot more than just quarterback. That's for sure.
Tua has not been released yet by the Dolphins, Cole, but behind him, they've got Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson. Quinn Ewers looked, okay in his performances this season after they benched Tua. Would you be willing, if you're the Miami Dolphins, to rock with Quinn Ewers for the year? Or would you take one of those quarterbacks later on in the draft?
Maybe both.
Okay.
Maybe both, because Quinn Ewers has not proven anything in the NFL. I don't care that he looked good in a couple of games. So when I say maybe both, the reason for that is if you do have a guy like Quinn Ewers, look, he was good in college. There's no doubt. Like he was a good college quarterback. I think he has a lot of the traits, Diesel, that translate well into an NFL quarterback. But again, he's such an infant. You just don't know. You hadn't seen him out there in many meaningful games. So the reason I say both is, hey, keep him on the roster. And then if later on down the road in the draft, you have an opportunity to get a Ty Simpson or whoever it is, then yeah, it wouldn't be bad. But I think ultimately, if you're Miami, again, kind of like New York, now they're not in near as bad a shape as New York is, but you've got to address other needs as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miami didn't take a quarterback in the draft.
Think about it this way. Quinn Ewers is kind of this year's Spencer Rattler, a guy that was taken later on that people at one time had high hopes for, didn't pan out, didn't pan out what people thought he was going to be. And then they have the opportunity to go draft a Tyler Shuck out behind him and have a real quarterback competition for the number one quarterback to be there in Miami. How about Cole with the Colts? Daniel Jones, he's coming off that torn Achilles, but he was lights out in the first part of this season. Any reason whatsoever with Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard, and who knows, maybe they could get Phillip Rivers back out of the retirement home again. Any interest there in going after a quarterback?
No, not at all. The reason is what you just said. Before the injury, now the Colts, they plummeted hard, almost as bad as Philadelphia did a couple of years ago. So there are other issues they have internally, Diesel, but no, he was really good this year. They were the best team in football for the first 7-8 weeks of the season. And I know that it is basically meaningless. You don't win a Super Bowl in the first 7 or 8 weeks, right? But injury has a lot to do with why the Colts did plummet and fall off the face of the earth. I think he's a good quarterback in the right system. He's not a great quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but he's good enough. He showed that. I mean, he was really, really good this year. They have to ride with him for now, for the time being, unless something drastically changes.
Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What you know about Mike McCarthy? He was your coach.
Yep.
He has a lot of experience, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure Aaron's going to wait until August or September to let us know if he's even going to play again this year. You got to believe he's probably going to hang it up, but who knows? Maybe Mike could convince him and say, hey, Aaron, you were really good last year, and you're my boy. We know each other well. Could you give me one more year? Because we don't have it. Otherwise, we got Mason Rudolph.
No, I think he definitely is having that conversation. Mason Rudolph's not the long-term guy. We know that. And look, Aaron's not either, but Aaron was good enough to He was good enough to win, 8 or 9 games, whatever they won this year. So I think for McCarthy, you do want some type of stability. Look, here's the reality of it. Everybody says no on Aaron Rodgers. Okay, well, if you don't have Aaron Rodgers this year, who's your quarterback going to be? You're going to run out there with Mike McCarthy, first-year head coach, and Mason Rudolph? No. You're going to go draft a guy and throw him out there to the Wolves? No. The plan, I think, is more long-term for Pittsburgh and what Mike McCarthy's looking at quarterback. They've got to the problem in Pittsburgh is not this year. People don't realize Pittsburgh and Mike McCarthy have to go and identify a quarterback of the future. That's what they have to do. That's not going to happen. That quarterback's not going to be on the field, I don't think, in 2026. So everybody's concerned about this year. But for me, they hired Mike McCarthy to try to identify a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers will be a good stopgap for the time being because he's still pretty good, but no, they've got to find a long-term guy in the process.
T-Experience on the stream says, how about Anthony Richardson? Should be a Carolina Panther next season. He'll flourish in that system, and bam, he'll be able to see over the line.
No thanks. If I'm a Panther fan, I don't want any part of that.
I mean, as a backup behind, how many times have I talked about having a backup that has a similar body type, skill set, and just ability set to your starter? It doesn't make any sense to me why Andy Dalton is backing up Bryce Young.
I don't want Anthony Richardson anywhere near my franchise if I'm the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I just don't. I'm sorry, but that guy was a disaster.
Well, you hope he never has to play.
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
How about with the Vikings, Cole? J.J. McCarthy was good until he got hurt. Sam Darnold obviously was great last year with the Vikings. And J.J. McCarthy didn't recover from his injury and immediately show us that he could be back to being that same guy. If you are with the Vikings organization, does any part of you say we need to hedge our bets? Because otherwise we've got something called a John Wolford and Max Brosmer on our backup quarterback sheet. Are you saying, you know what, maybe late in the third round, if Drew Aller's still available, if Garrett Nussmeier or Cade Klubnik are still available, let's go get that guy?
Well, you've got to be thinking about it because, look, in the NFL, we've said this many, many times, the best ability is availability, and he hadn't been available. J.J. McCarthy hasn't. And that entire franchise, man, where they were a year ago with Sam Darnold to now, like, they've got to be sick to their stomach, and now they have J.J. McCarthy. I think there's promise there, Diesel, but J.J. McCarthy, again, he wasn't healthy this year. So what do you really know? It's nice in a fairy tale land, in a fairy tale world, Diesel, to say, yeah, J.J.'s going to be healthy all year next year. We're going to be fine. But guess what? You just don't know that. You just don't know. So, yes, you definitely have to have some better options, in my opinion, than what you have now. Because if he does go down again, one injury doesn't make you injury prone. But if he has another one this year, then you're back to the problem you had this year of, hey, or last year, we're not competitive yet.
This offseason, if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I am doing anything I possibly can to shop Kyler Murray and get him out of my locker room. I want him gone. If that means for a season I got to run with Jacoby Brissett, which is not a great option, I get it. You tried, okay? You tried with Kyler Murray. He played more video games than he read the playbook. The Cardinals have to take a quarterback this year.
It's weird because, like, what is Mike LaFleur's ideology? Here's the problem with what you're talking about. Like, most people would agree with you, but what if Mike LaFleur is such a confident guy in himself? He goes in and says, hey, I can fix Kyler Murray. I can fix him. He's a good talent. He was really good in high school, really good in college.
That was like 30 years ago.
I know.
Kyler's getting old.
But you know how these coaches are. You know how they think. You know how they operate. They're confident in themselves. And I just wonder if Mike LaFleur comes in as the new coach. And, like, here's the question, though. When Mike LaFleur was hired, I'm sure one of the questions ownership asked LaFleur was, hey, what are you going to do with Kyler? I think Mike LaFleur probably had a pretty good reason. That's why they hired him. So
I guess the conversation is the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And even if Kyler is, Kyler, all the trappings that come with him, at least he's a known quantity. At least that has some layer of stability with this franchise while you're figuring out how to be a head coach.
Yeah, it's tricky, though. It's tricky because if you're telling the ownership that you can fix the guy, and that's what you're kind of hedging your bets on when it doesn't happen, you might be in trouble. you might be in trouble there. So,
yep.
I don't know.
I don't know that we see another quarterback until late in the second round, maybe third round. Ty Simpson still needs a lot of work. Drew Aller, he's coming off of a broken ankle. Garrett Nussmeier, God, how about a guy that fell from what would have been a sure top 5 quarterback draft pick to, man, he might be going into late rounds. And then is anybody going to take a risk on Diego Pavia or Cade Klubnik?
We'll continue the conversation. How does the NFL mock draft change after the big game now that the Super Bowl is in the rear view mirror? We also want to hear from you next. Talking NFL now that the Super Bowl is in the rear view mirror. A look at the latest mock drafts, how they changed since the big game on Sunday. We want to hear from you, 844-326-3663. Would love to hear from you on the phone lines. Joy Law Firm text line, it's open. Again, same number, 844-FAN-PHONE, FANFONE. Let's go to the phone lines where Tom in Somerville wants to weigh in. Tom, what's up?
Hey, guys, did y'all get to watch the USA women's hockey team
When was it?
today?
No, we have a radio show.
I didn't know if y'all. I got a TV at my work. I figured y'all had a TV at y'all's work.
We do, but it's not on today for some reason. I don't know. It got turned off.
Oh, well, I don't watch much hockey, but I'll say this, and I don't know what's good hockey and what's bad hockey, but if the USA women's team is not elite hockey, then they just need to get rid of the sport. They hammered Canada today, 5-0.
Let's go.
I've never even really watched hockey, and they got me jumping around the office because them girls just fly up and down that ice, and it's the first time ever the Canada women's hockey team had been shut out in the Olympics. So hats off to the goalie.
Hey, Tom, let me
USA.
ask you a question. Diesel and I have had this conversation many times in the past couple of weeks. You're a big sports fan, as I am. Why can I not get into the Olympics?
Honestly, it's just something you got to turn on and leave on. No pun intended. But the thing is that there's so many sports that you never watch, and there's just all these sports that you only hear about once every 4 years. So I think that's part of the reason that a lot of people are kind of zoned out of the Olympics.
Do you think part of it is that there's far less head-to-head competition in the sense of what my definition of sport is, where you got two different bodies going at each other like hockey, as opposed to there's a lot of things in the Olympics that are just time trials, right? Like you can see these luges going down the ice at 88 miles an hour, but it's really, you can't see the difference between like 0.2 seconds between runs.
Oh yeah, I mean these Olympians are so good at what they do. I hardly ever know if they mess up or not, especially when it comes to the luge racing. I mean, they're going so daggone fast, you blink and the race is over.
Yeah. Well, Tom, anything else?
Did y'all hear the Braves news today?
Ozuna?
No, not that. The Slosh Bar or whatever his name is, the pitcher.
Got hurt?
He was going to be one of the starters, and next thing you know, he's on the 60-day DL, and they've only been at spring training for 1 day, and he's already on the 60-day DL. So
wow. Already starting, right?
Is off to a wonderful start.
Right. Great. Look forward to it.
Just know, Tom, it can't get any worse.
That's right. Thanks, Tom.
Oh, go Gamecocks.
844-FAN-PHONE. A little breaking news from ESPN. Charlie Woods is a Seminole. He has committed to play golf for Florida State as a part of the 2027 recruiting class. So I don't know. College golf. I mean, let's see what Charlie Woods is going to make in NIL. I mean, could we see Charlie Woods making like college football quarterback money as a golfer with his last name?
I wish we could know, how good do we really project him to be? Do we really project him to be the second coming of Tiger? No. Or is he just going to be, I mean, not second coming, but at least be an elite player that's competing week in and week out on the tour? Do you think he's that level of good?
It's a tall task, man. Like I know his last name's Wood, and I know that Tiger Woods' son Diesel should be pretty good because he's been around him and it's got good genetics. But that's just tough. Like being good in golf, being elite in golf. I mean, I would say he'll probably be a really good golfer, but being elite, I don't know, man. I don't want to put that on him yet.
He is 21st in the AJGA. I would assume that means American Junior Golf Association.
Sounds right. Yep.
Oh, it'd help if I looked up higher on the website because there it is right there in front of my face. So he's the 21st best junior.
Okay.
So,
pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know about elite. Again, it's early. He's like, what, a teenager. So we'll see. We'll see what he does when he gets to Florida State.
He's also hit or miss. I mean, he's gone. He's won a bunch of tournaments. He's done really, really poorly in a lot of tournaments as well. But
Dexter,
he's a young guy, young golfer. He deserves time to develop.
Texter from the 410s ask, what are y'all's thoughts on the missing mother?
Savannah Guthrie's mom.
Well, it's certainly not sports, but guess what? We certainly veer away from sports many, many times on this show. So we don't have a problem bringing it up. I'm not like enthralled with it the way a lot of people are. You know, what's interesting about our country, people like just get enthralled with these kind of cases. Now, when it's local, I'm all in. Like the Murdaugh trial, I was the number one Murdaugh trial, enthusiast. I watched every single trial, every single court hearing. I've kept up with the Guthrie case, the mom. I did watch a little bit more of it over the weekend. I saw today they released a picture and a video from the doorbell. Did you see that?
No, I hadn't.
Yeah. Looks like a man with a mustache. He's got a ski mask on, and they said there was blood drops from the door to the driveway, to the end of the driveway. So I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Diesel. You might make fun of me. I didn't know who Savannah Guthrie was before this happened. I don't watch. Was it today? Is it Today's Show?
Yeah.
Something like that. One of the morning shows.
I've seen her. I've seen her. She's been around for quite a long time.
I don't watch those shows though.
She's a good. I wouldn't call her a reporter. She's a TV show host.
Yeah.
Just so happens to host a national news show.
So her mom just gets randomly abducted, right? Just randomly I think 1 week ago on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. And I know there are a lot of people like just totally all in on this thing and living and breathing with every single update. But I think it's weird. Do I think that there's a connection to the family? I don't know if I go that far or not. I'm not, up to date on the news, right?
Yeah,
in terms of the suspects or who they've got as a person.
And otherwise, we're guessing. Yeah. Like we're just guessing as to what the motive was. Did they know they were abducting a celebrity's mom? Because she lived out in the desert somewhere, Arizona,
Phoenix, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
nice house
out there,
nice house.
So
nice house.
Did they just think they were kidnapping a rich person in a nice house, or did they know who they were kidnapping?
I don't know though. I'll say this: being an 84-year-old. I mean, here's what's weird about it to me. I'll say this: you're right. We're guessing, but Diesel, how often do 84-year-olds get abducted? Like, come on, 84 years old. 84-year-olds don't get abducted. So I'm not saying like it's an inside job and the family's behind it or whatever. It's just weird. 84-year-olds don't get abducted.
Texter says Savannah, I assume, interviewed some of the Epstein victims.
Oh, making some correlations, are we? I don't know. Again, I'm not very up to date on the whole case. I did see the Ring doorbell stuff earlier today. It does look creepy. It doesn't look like a professional job. The guy Diesel, the guy person, whatever it was, grabbed like some flowers and put it over the Ring doorbell. So it was kind of like it looked like a little bit of messy, kidnapping, but
doesn't seem like a professional job.
No. A professional, I don't know. Does a professional abductor say, "Hey, let me grab some of these flowers over here and throw them on the Ring doorbell"? Maybe he does. I don't know. I feel like it's odd though. There's something more there.
I don't think a professional cases the house first to know that there's a ring doorbell, and then says, "You know what? I'm not going to go through the front door.
No,
because I'll be on the doorbell camera."
That's right. And they were at first they came back and said that she didn't have a subscription, so they couldn't get the video. You know how like with Ring, if you don't pay for a subscription, you can't go back and watch. Yeah. I had a funny story. I had a neighbor,
which sucks. They should record that for evidence purposes of a crime, and just
maybe they do in like some kind of database somewhere.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, I left my keys in my apartment door one night on accident. Left them in the apartment door. Oof. It was a Friday night after a football game. Well, I had the Saturday scramble the next morning. I came out. I woke up that morning to my phone, and it said, "Your debit card ending in da-da-da-da has been declined." So I go out and like, what? So I go look for my wallet that was in my car. Well, I didn't realize I left my keys in the door. Somebody grabbed them out of the door, went to my car, took my bag with my computer, iPad, wallet, keys, everything. So I bring that up to say my neighbor across from me had a Ring doorbell. So I was like, yes, we got him. We got everybody. Knock on her door. Hey, can we look at your Ring doorbell? She said, oh, I don't pay for it. I'm like, what are we doing
Why
here?
don't I just make one out of cardboard and set it there for God's sake?
You have this Ring doorbell on your door, but you don't pay for the subscription, so you don't know when my apartment just got,
Well, if these damn subscriptions weren't so expensive,
God.
every single month she's got to pay for that. She's got to pay for Netflix and for Amazon and for Disney Plus. I mean, one of these has got to go, and security is the first one.
You know what else I think's weird about it? Going back to the texter that got us down this rabbit hole to begin with. You think that Savannah Guthrie has a net worth of like or all these million, 40 million, something like that. She's rich, right?
Would think.
You don't think, Diesel, that Savannah Guthrie, somebody who's loaded, a millionaire, would have her mom, an 84-year-old, with a working camera subscription? That just don't seem right to me. In a big old house, $1 million house out in the desert, you don't think it's valuable to have some cameras on that thing?
She reportedly, this is from parade.com, a website that covers celebrity news. Apparently, Savannah Guthrie is worth $40 million.
That's what I heard, too. That's what I heard. That's a lot.
But
can't afford a security system.
Well, it's not her security system. It's her mom's security
I know, but
system.
she should have it on there.
I mean, if you're rich, is it your responsibility to pay for everybody you know's
your mom
monthly
your mom
Ring doorbell subscription?
You better be. If your net worth's $40 million, you better pay for your mom's Ring doorbell subscription. Shouldn't you? I mean, that's the nice thing to do.
Why didn't she pay for her own?
$20 a month, something like that?
She let it lapse. Maybe Savannah didn't even know it lapsed.
Well, anyways, nonetheless, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. I've read up a little bit on it.
I hope they get her back safely
and alive too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's one of those things you hear these on like crime shows. The longer it goes, the chances aren't good. In terms of survival, it's been 8 days now.
Well, and if you've had her for this long, then there's a good chance you're not going to get away with it because evidence will come to light in some way and link you to it.
And she's 84.
Yeah.
The longer this thing draws out, she might just die of old age, I'm just saying,
God. Cole
I'm
Bryson.
just saying she's 84 years old.
You could have said the stress, the strain, the mental anguish. Maybe she's not on her medications, but you just said, she's going to keep getting older.
I was going to say that next year's it might be 85. I mean, they don't know. They got to get this money quick in crypto, man. What do you know about this stuff? It's weird, but we'll see. We'll keep following it. We'll talk about it some more, maybe.
That's scary stuff, man. Hey, when we come back, we will take a quick look in on the Olympics and the medal count, plus touch on some other things around the sports world next. a recorded full broadcast of the 2014 Super Bowl.
I saw that.
That was Seahawks and Patriots.
Yeah.
Tom Brady was the quarterback.
Yeah.
The video quality, like it's gotten so good over the last 10 years that, for God's sakes, watching footage from like 2015 feels like you're watching footage from
Playing an old
1960s.
video game, right?
And the wives had no idea that this was an old game until they got to halftime. And it wasn't Bad Bunny doing the halftime show.
That just goes to show, and by the way, I lost you on the stream.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that we, as America, the Super Bowl and March Madness, and the Super Bowl even more so than March Madness, it's literally just it's a gathering, right? Yeah. It's an opportunity. Like, I was at a Super Bowl party, and I'll tell you, the people that I was with, they didn't watch much of the game at all, and some of them were women. So,
but the commercials, those commercials usually exist.
They tune into the commercials
for months and months after the Super Bowl, right? That like launches ad campaigns for a lot of these companies. These are products from, I don't know what they're advertising in 2014, the memorable commercials, but you would think that you would remember those.
Yeah, but no, not with women. They're there to eat, they're there to socialize. I mean, you think about it. You put a football game on, they hadn't watched a single snap. I'm not saying all women. Don't get offended if you're a female Tolo. I promise. Yeah. But you think about it. You put a group of women together and say, hey, here's the Super Bowl, and then they see the little pieces of cheese and the crackers and the wine, whatever they're eating, right? And the hors d'oeuvres, right?
Charcuterie board.
The charcuterie board and the grapes and the chicken salad, all that stuff they eat. And then they start talking and gossiping, and they look over to like see if the TV's on, but they don't. I saw the video. It doesn't surprise me. I know it surprises a lot of people, but it's the way it is. The Super Bowl is just a chance to gather and eat and hang out, socialize.
Now, given how terrible the first half of this year's game was, these guys didn't miss anything. I don't know if they had like an iPad going somewhere that secretly had the real game on so they could keep up with it.
Yeah.
But this of any year, this might be the best year to have pulled that prank, because
I think so.
They didn't miss anything in the first half of the game. The Winter Olympics, Cole, again, ongoing. The USA is starting to catch up a little bit.
Let's go.
When it comes to the medal count. We have now moved up to, I had it here just a second ago, we've moved up to 4th overall in the total number of medals. And that's good.
Love it.
We're happy to be there. We've got 2 golds, 3 silvers, and 2 bronze medals. That's good for 4th overall. Norway is just crushing this year, though, in the Olympics. I mean, that's what they do. They live on ice. So,
they had an advantage is what you're saying.
I mean, they do live in it. But you would think America, as big as it is, we'd have a whole lot of Americans that live in, like, Minnesota and Wisconsin and Maine and Vermont. They would be able to win us some gold, because those states combined have more population than Norway does.
Norway's just got more ice. I think we should protest. I think this is the protest era of the world. If you don't agree with something nowadays, you just protest.
It's not fair.
And I think we should protest it. Yeah, that these who was it? Norway? Norway has a big advantage over us.
They do have good-looking women in Norway, though, so I'll let them have it.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. It's all those Vikings, man. They would
does
raid other
look
countries, bring back the best looking women, and then just make attractive babies.
Norway, I don't know much about Norway, but I've seen some pictures. It looks like a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful
I almost
place.
took a college trip. I couldn't afford it. Like one of those end of the year college trips. They're like, hey, we're going to take an international trip over to Norway. We'll check out the Volvo plant, because it was a business school trip.
Yeah.
And then we'll do some skiing up in Reykjavik, and we'll go to Iceland. Well, Reykjavik's in Iceland, but we'll go up north of the Arctic Circle and go skiing up there. And I'm like, I can't pay you like $4,000.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But there were some good events on today. There's curling. You're going to see all this stuff tonight at prime time. But if you really want to watch this stuff live, Cole, Peacock in the morning is the way to do it, because it starts about 5 a.m. Most events go to about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they're done.
Yeah.
So you can wake up and watch your international sports. So
I'm gonna try to watch a little bit tonight. Matter of fact,
where are the Olympics in 2023?
Greenville.
I wish. They are looks like they're going to be in Nice France. So we're going to have to deal with this dang time issue again in 4 years.
Nice.
Nice.
Your niece.
It's not nice. It's
No,
Nice.
It's Nice. Diesel, let's get into a little bit of an audio blitz. What it sounded like after the big game. We'll have that audio for you next.